You know what my biggest problem with Pokemon Legends ZA is? It's just too exciting, especially at the start. It feels like every few minutes the tutorial takes over to teach you something, and that's a lot of learning, and learning is really cool and exciting. Overwhelmingly fun, even. If only the game had spread this design choice beyond the first hour or two. Like if they could do that the whole 30 hours, that would have been excellent. It's midnight. Opposite day is over. Today we're going to talk about this snooze fest of a Pokemon line, Drilbur and Excadrill, and the all-new Mega Excadrill, where it... It's a snazzy hat and mittens. Also, do you see this plush? This Drilbur plush? Look at its face. Oh my word. Why are its eyes like that? But okay, so this guy. I did some digging and found it. And also learned that it is a rather hairy mole. Should probably get that checked. I just can't really afford the doctor visit because we're in Unova, the United States. Specifically, the area around New York City. They got moles? Oh yeah, they got moles. Such as the hairy-tailed mole, whose tail makes it not quite like Drilbur. There's also the star-nosed mole, whose nose makes it not quite like Drilbur. And there's the eastern mole who, oh my gosh, look at them hands! Those hands are the biggest of the three, and also this is the most common mole on Long Island itself. And seeing as Long Island is what makes up this part of Unova, and Drilbur is all about its absolutely gargantuan hands, this is definitely the mole they were after. They just made it have 3 extra long digging claws on each of the paws, and they come together to make a shovel shape almost, rather than being just mole paws. But you know what they say about guys with big hands that are shovel-shaped? They can hold a lot of lemons. Now allow me to tell you how to shop like a mole or a ninja. Today's sponsor is Zenmarket. If you've caught this video in time, you can enjoy their Black Friday sale. 0 yen service fees from recommended stores and reduced service fees from others who are already having their own sales too, so it's savings all around. Zenmarket is the #1 way to shop Japanese online stores and ship the goods internationally. It's as easy as browsing the shops through them, or even just copy-pasting the item URL into their search bar, and there it is. I've gotten loads of Japan exclusive merch from the Japanese Pokemon Center this way. Hey, it's Chillet, my favorite Pokemon. One of my favorite Digimon. The last time I promoted Zenmarket, I talked about this. It's a Japan-only Spheal plush that's made out of a material that feels cool to the touch, and I'm like, how does that work? So I ordered it through Zenmarket just to see, and this is cool to the touch, which is so perfect for an ice type. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Blind box, now let's see. But of course, there's more. I've gotten the best nail clippers of my life through them, as well as a few gifts for the upcoming holidays, perfect grade Gundams, camera lenses, fashion. I even put Zenmarket to the test and ordered this massive arcade topper Pokeball that is a lot bigger than I expected, and I'll have to figure out something to do with it. Head to the link below to check out Zenmarket's Black Friday sale and order the Christmas gifts for the game and anime fans in your life today. So Drilbur gets its name from 2 parts of a drill, the drill and the burr, sometimes colloquially called the drill. This is because drills make holes in things, and moles make moles in things, those things being their mole holes. They are mammals after all.
Gosh, this is just so interesting.
Drilbur is ground type, which, much like this Pokemon line, is definitely the most boring of the Pokemon types. And there's not much else to Drilbur. It's got this super silly, cartoony face, even by Pokemon standards, though the noses of these moles can get pretty pink. And I mean, before the area around Hollywood took over, New York was the cartoon animation hub of the world, with Fleischer being there and everything. Was that an intended reference? I mean, it does have an especially silly face and rubber hosey nose and oversized eyes and all that. I mean, normally moles don't get depicted with huge eyes, unless, of course, they have really, really big glasses. Because moles famously have just terrible eyesight and tiny, tiny little eyes. But you don't really need vision when 90% of your life is spent in complete darkness anyway, so giving these guys big eyes is certainly a choice. As is the odd blue design on its body. What's up with that? It looks a bit like a belt with an over-the-shoulder sash thing. This is also the generation that gave us Watchog, whose torso stripes resemble the high-vis safety vests of road workers, so maybe it's a similar thing happening here. These days, miners basically wear the same high-vis stuff, but back in the golden age of human mining, back when children and teens were allowed to go into the smaller mines. You also had the leaders of each team of miners carrying a whip over their shoulder, much like this team. They were used to direct the pit ponies who pulled the mine carts. But I mean, I see it, but it's not like a common thing. So I don't know. Alternatively, given the Z-ish shape of the blue stripes, maybe it's from the slightly later light-up mining helmets. These days, battery technology is small enough that plenty of mining helmets can have their own batteries, or heck, you can just clip a flashlight on it. But older mining helmets had thick cables that attached to a battery that was attached to the miner's belt, which, I mean, sure, Drilbur's pattern could be referencing that. It's miner safety gear the same way that Watchhog has construction lookout safety gear. The blue is an odd choice though. Is it just to complement the pink of the nose? At least when it evolves into an Excadrill, now it's red. Now it's red. And the pattern appears to be less a reference to equipment and more so either just smears of coal dust and dirt that miners get covered in and, you know, do this. Or they're 3 slash wounds. Perhaps scars after it got into a territorial fight with another Excadrill. They got these 3 big claws and all, and Pokemon like Dinos, Viper, and Zangoose have already set the precedent of this scarification theory. But there is little in-game evidence of this. As in, there's none. I guess that would be too interesting for it, huh? But in real life, fully grown moles are extremely territorial and solitary animals, generally avoiding each other at all costs unless it's mating season. Because when they do meet, they tend to be vicious fighters, you know, for a mole. But notice this move they keep doing, this bite and twirl. They spin, somersaults, they roll. You know where I'm going with this, yeah? Roll rhymes with mole. What a fun coincidence. They're so interesting. Wait a minute. I just realized something. You know, the existence of somersaults implies the existence of winter peppers. Also, of course, that's what drills do, and what Excadrill does especially. It puts its claws and face claws together to form a full drill head, and then spins itself to attack other Pokemon. And the ground. It's excavating the ground, hence the name, and hence those random red points all over it that seem kinda random. Those are like the points on road headers, modern excavation machines. They don't really look like Excadrill's drills though, do they? Then again, typically drills also don't have these upward spikes either, right? Right. But there is one kind in particular that does. And when you get a look at what it's attached to, you'll be like,
oh yeah, that's Excadrill.
So you know blimps, right? They're shaped like that and they travel through the air. You know submarines. They're shaped like that, they travel through the water. But do you know subterranes? They're shaped like that and they travel through the ground. That's literally just Excadrill when it's all closed up. Thus Excadrill being the subterrane Pokemon in the Pokedex. Subterranes, aka battle moles, are mostly fictional. There were Soviet experiments and prototypes built during the Cold War, but it turns out rocks are harder than air and water. Gosh golly, there were no successful attempts of this thing. But seriously, look at it, and it closed Excadrill. That is 1-to-1. And when we now Mega Evolve Excadrill, it just becomes more akin to the fictionalized versions of these machines, like the Mole from Thunderbirds, the Underminer from Incredibles, and of course, the drill that will pierce the heavens. It's a cartoony, fantastical trope. They and Mega Excadrill all have that same cartoony cone drill shape, which, while cool looking, isn't actually that helpful for digging large tunnels. By the way, play Drill Dozer. It's fun, and it's by Game Freak, fun fact. But anyway, cool digging machines of this sort need some kind of fantasy applied to them in order to be interesting though, because otherwise, all this digging, this is just boring. But now, what if I told you there is a reason they made sure to bring Excadrill into Lumio City based on Paris, France, and gave it a new Mega Evolution here in this game specifically? Because there is. So this is a boring machine. It really is. This is what they use to drill holes into mountains for tunnels as well as for entire subway lines. And compared to the fun drill shapes and tank treads and rocket propulsion on all those fictionalized diggy dudes, it's, I mean, it's just a cylinder with a holy cutting shield on the front of it. It's boring, but it was also invented by a French guy. Marc Isambard Brunel was a French-American civil engineer who later moved to England and had a son who was also a famous civil engineer or something, always living in his father's shadow. But this is during the Industrial Revolution, no less. Together, they excavated the first tunnel under a river, the Thames Tunnel, and took what they learned from doing that to invent the tunneling shield, the part at the end of the boring machines that do the actual digging, which Henry Mouse, a Belgian engineer, slapped onto the machine, and thus the world's most boring machine was born, and first used to dig the Fréjus rail tunnel connecting France and Italy. Gosh, I knew France was overrated, but I didn't think it was this boring. Final points now. To be fair to the cartoony drill design, there are drill bits that look like this, but that's the thing. They are drill bits. They're itty bitty bits. And once you start needing to drill a hole big enough for trains and cars to pass through, that shape becomes far less efficient. Hence the road headers and the boring machine. Not saying Pokemon needs to be realistic though, because could you imagine? And the metal triangle on Mega Excadrill's chest. I'm kinda stumped, to be honest. Like, that's the shape of a drill or a mountain peak, I guess, when you drill through mountains and all that. And those connections to the shape are probably why the shape is used in the logos of several Asian mining company logos. But whether that was the intent or not, I don't know. But I do know that they did Excadrill a little bit dirty with this design. It's just such a one-note boring design for Omega, even when you dig into it. Well then, next why don't you dig into this video here, where we dug into the design origins of Mega Electros, who, like a tunnel, is also infrastructure. Maybe that's why their trainers are related too, huh? Never stop using your noggin. I found a new mole on my arm.